Okay, you have some time to pick up on what we're learning, but it's not like you have a test in several weeks. It's this week on Thursday. Okay, so who remembers from last week what happens to the number that you put inside absolute value bars? Boom, it turns positive, so it makes the value inside it positive. Now question, if the value starts off as positive, do you switch it to a negative? No, that is not what the rule is. So if you have a question like this first one, it says evaluate the following. You have a function. It says find the range if you're given that the domain is each of those numbers. Now, domain is X or Y? Domain is X. So what we're going to do is we're going to let X be each of those numbers, plug them in, and then put the answer that goes with that down here in the range. So what is the first X in that bracket? Negative 4. So if I let X be negative 4 and I plug it in right here, then I would have negative 4 minus 2 more. What is negative 4 minus 2 more? Okay, so I'd have the absolute value of negative 6, but then what do the bars do to that number? Very good. So I'm going to put a little plus here. Boom, my answer is actually a 6 in the range. BB, did you have a question? I answered it. Okay. So we did negative 4. What's the next X in the domain? Okay, negative 4, check. Now we're on 0. If X equals 0, I'm plugging that in right here. So I would have 0 minus 2. What's 0 minus 2? Negative 2, but it's in the bars. That switches it to a positive 2. And then you would write that answer in the range because each domain has a partner in that range. Okay, next one. We are doing what number next after 0? 3. X equals 3. Well, then I would have 3 minus 2 in the bars. What's 3 minus 2? Absolute value of 1. And what's the absolute value of 1? Still 1. Very good. Notice it does not switch to a negative. Okay, last number that we're plugging in is number 6. What is 6 minus 2? 4. And then if it's in absolute value bars, it is still positive. Yes? What's your question?
What is the bars?
Technically, here's what the bars mean, just for those of you that are interested in knowing. The absolute value bar stands for how far away a number is from 0 on the number line. So, for example, if you had, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What is this one? Positive 3. This one is negative 3. Yeah? Okay, the absolute value of 3 stands for how many units away you are from 0. How far away is 3 from 0? 1, 2, 3. How far away is this one from 0? And is distance ever negative? No, so that's why. So absolute value stands for how far away a number is from 0. That's why it can't be negative, because you're measuring how far it is from 0. Okay? Alright, so focus right here for me. This is what we're doing the next 2 days. We are going to practice solving absolute value equations. The first thing that you need to do is get the absolute value bars, okay, by themselves. Okay, so get the absolute value bars by itself. Then you're going to separate into 2 equations with opposite values. Okay, and I'll show you what that means in a second. Then after that, you are going to solve each equation. Remember that usually you will get 2 solutions. Okay? So we are going to work this very first example 2 ways. The first time we're going to work it algebraically, which is the new part. But then the second time we're going to work it graphically, which is what we learned last week. So if you will, please take this equation and rewrite it over here, because we're going to do it twice. So x minus 2 minus 1 equals 4. So we're going to solve it 2 different ways. First by algebra, okay, then by graphing. Okay, so ready? Algebra first. The very first step is to get the bars by themselves. So if I have a minus 1, how do I get rid of a minus 1? Plus 1. 4 plus 1 on the right side, what do we get? 5. So I have x minus 2 equals 5. Okay, the next step would be to get rid of this minus 2, but the problem is that it's in those bars, you can't touch it. So to get rid of the bars, you're going to separate, this is step 2, into 2 equations with opposite values. So I'm going to break this into x minus 2 equals positive 5 and x minus 2 equals negative 5. So the only difference is that you're taking this 5 and you're letting it be positive 5 and negative 5, and you'll get a different answer from each side of that equation. Let's do the positive side first. If I have a minus 2, how do I get rid of it? Okay, plus 2 on top of a 5, what do I get? 7. That's my first answer. Go to the right side, x minus 2 equals negative 5. I'm still adding 2, but notice that if this is a different number, I'm going to get a different answer. Negative 3. Very good. So we know our answers should be 7 and minus 3. Now let's solve it by graphing just like we did last week. Where is my flat line going to be at? 4. So go to 4, draw in your flat line. Okay, next I need to graph my v. So that's this side of the equation. Okay, now remember, the minus 2 is always the opposite. So if it's a minus, I'm actually going to the right. So I'd go to the right 2 and then down 1. Now think about on your v, what's your slope if there's not anything there in the front? 1 over 1. Very good. So I would start right here and I'd go up and over 1. And remember, I'm going to do that until I hit that flat line. Then I'll go back to the middle and I'll v the other way to see where I cross. So up and back, up and back. And then remember that when you are solving by graphing, you're looking for the intersection points. Where are the 2 places that our v and our straight line cross each other? Very good. On this side, x is negative 3. On this side, x is 7. Okay. Question? That was just like a what? Like you're so excited about math? Okay, let's do number 2. Okay, look at number 2. We have 2x plus 1 equals 6. How would we get rid of a 2 if it's right in front of the bars like that? Divide. So divide by 2. What is 6 divided by 2 on the other side? 3. So I have x plus 1 equals 3. Can I touch the plus 1 in there right now? No, if it's in the bars, you got to split to get rid of the bars. So I'm going to let x plus 1 equal 3, and I'm going to let x plus 1 equal negative 3. Okay, then from there, how do I get rid of a plus 1 on the left-hand side? Minus 1. What is 3 minus 1? 2. That's my first solution. Then I'll go to the other side, and notice your solving steps are the same, but what's different is the answer you get on the other side. So if I have negative 3 and I minus 1 more, what's that? Negative 4. Very good. Okay, and then you have your 2 answers, and you'd be done, ready to move on. Okay, turn over to the back, and let's do some more. Okay. Alright, next one that we're going to do is number 6. Okay, look at it. What would I get rid of first? Okay, so there are 2 things to get rid of. You'll notice you have a 3 here and a 10 here. You should always get rid of adding and subtracting first. So if it's a minus 10, I'm going to get rid of that first. What is 11 if I add 10 across? Good, so these guys cross out. I have 3. 2x minus 1 equals 21. Okay, next step, how do I get rid of the 3 in the front? Divide. What's 21 if we divide by 3? 7. So I have 2x minus 1 equals 7. At this point, if all of the numbers are in the bars, you can't get rid of them until you split. Remember that when you split, you're changing the sign on the number on the other side. So I would let 2x minus 1, oops, why do I keep doing that, equal 7, and 2x minus 1 equal negative 7. And then you would split that into those two little baby equations and then solve them separately. So let's do the positive 7 side first. How do I get rid of this minus 1? Plus 1. What is 7 plus 1? Then 2x is 8. What would I do last? And x is going to be, I'm going to put it at the top here since I ran out of room, 4. Okay, now look on the other side. Notice I'm still going to add 1, but if this is a negative 7, what's negative 7 plus 1? 2x is negative 6. And then my last step, I'm still going to divide by 2. It's just going to give me a different answer at the end. So divide by 2 here and here. X is what? Negative 3. Okay? Alright, next one, let's jump down to number 9. Okay, go to the bottom left, number 9. Okay? Alright, first question, is there anything outside of the bars for us to get rid of on number 9? No, then you split right away. So I would let 2x minus 3 equal 13 and 2x minus 3 equal negative 13. So if there is nothing in the outside of the bars for you to get rid of, then you're ready to just split in that first step. Now let's do this one first. How do I get rid of the minus 3? Plus 3. What is 13 plus 3? So I have 2x, these guys cross out. 13 plus 3 we said is 16. Last step, what do I do? Divide by 2. And 16 divided by 2, x equals 8. Very good. Okay, look on the other side. Remember, your solving steps are going to be the same. Okay, so if I have a minus 3, then how do I get rid of it? Still plus 3 on both sides, but what is negative 13 if I add 3 to it? Positive 10? Negative 10. Very good. And then for my last step to get rid of that 2, what would I do? Divide. What's negative 10 divided by 2? Negative 5. Got it? Alright, let's do the 2 that have the fractions. Okay? Let's do number 7 first, right above it. Okay, how do I get rid of the minus 3? Plus 3. What is 12 plus 3? 15. So I have half of x equals 15. Okay, so far so good. Now 1/2 is 1 divided by 2. If I wanted to get rid of divide by 2, what's the opposite of divide? Multiply. So if you want to get rid of 1 divided by 2, you would multiply by 2. And remember that the reason that we do that is that if you have half of 2, that's just a 1. The 2's cross out, and 1 we don't even have to write. So that would just be the absolute value of x equals. Now 15 times 2 is 30. And then from there we would be ready to split it up into our 2 separate branches. When I separate, what's my first one going to be? X equals 30 and negative 30. And would I have to solve in either one of those pieces? No, they're already done. Okay, if x is by itself, then you don't have to solve there. Okay? Alright, look at number 8 right next to it. Again, we have a 1/2. Remember, 1/2 is 1 divided by 2. How do we get rid of divide by 2? Times by 2. So I would times by 2 here and here. Okay, when I do a half multiplied by 2, what do I get? What's half of 2? 1, and you don't have to write it. So I'd have x minus 1 equals, what's 5 times 2 over there? 10. And then from there, I'm ready to separate into my two branches. My first branch is going to be x minus 1 equals 10. My second branch is going to be x minus 1 equals negative 10. On the left side, I add 1 across. What is 10 plus 1? 11. Other side, I'm still adding 1, but this time I'm adding it to negative 10. What's negative 10 plus 1? Negative 9. Very good. And then you have your two answers. Make sense? Alright, look at your homework for me, please. And I want you to do number 3 off the front. Okay? Number 3 is just like the first example that we did here. You're going to solve it two ways on number 3. You're going to do it algebraically first, and then you're going to check your work by solving graphically. So go ahead and take your equation before you scribble all over it and rewrite it over here. X minus 2 minus 1 equals 8. Okay, so you're going to solve it algebraically, then you're going to solve it by graphing, then we're going to check it. Alright, so let's see how we did. Most of y'all are getting that first way. So you'd add the 1 across. 8 plus 1 gives you what? 9. So you have x minus 2 still in the bars equals 9. Then from here, to get rid of the bars, each bar is going to split off into its own equation. So x minus 2 equals 9, and x minus 2 equals negative 9. When you add 2 on both sides to the positive 9 side, x equals what? 11. On the other side, you add 2 to both sides. Negative 9 plus 2 is what? Negative 7. Very good. Okay, those are your two answers then that you should expect when you solve it by graphing. Remember, it's the same solution. Okay, it's just a different method of getting there. So I would put my flat line through at 8. Which is right here. And then the x minus 2 minus 1, I would go to the right 2, down 1, I would do my v. So to the right 2, down 1 is right here. And then I would go up and over until I hit my line. Now notice I get all the way to 10, and then I have to go 1 off my graph. Does it make sense that that would hit at 11? Okay, hopefully it does, because you're 1 unit off your graph and it only goes to 10. Okay, then you would go the other way. And then when I hit the V again, or when the V hits the line again, I can see it happens there at negative 7. Okay? Alright, there's one more off the back that I want to do with you, so go ahead and turn the page over to the back side of your homework, please. And I want us to do number 8. Now, someone in the other class was confused about 6. They were like, what do I do on 6? If there aren't any numbers, what do you do on 6? You just go straight to separating. Okay, so I'm not going to do number 6, but notice, if there's nobody outside those bars, then you just split right away. So you'd let 2x minus 3 equal 5, 2x minus 3 equal negative 5. And then you're ready to solve. Because there are no numbers outside of those bars that you have to get rid of first. Okay? So you would just split right away. Okay? But the one that I want you to do is number 8. So go ahead and give number 8 a shot. It has a fraction and a minus 3. Which one do you get rid of first? The minus 3. So go ahead and do number 8 all the way through, and then we'll check your work. Huh? Yes. So you'll get rid of the minus 3, and then to get rid of a half, you times by 2. Because a half is 1 divided by 2. BB, do you want to come do it up here?
Do what?
Come do number 8?
Yeah.
Come on. You're going to do great. Come on. I'll bribe you with a Tootsie Roll.
I actually got it. Okay.
Wait, what?
You want what Dawson did? I bet I get it right.
Tomorrow. Remind me, Leela, you're tomorrow. Okay?
Okay. You know me, man. So number 8,
Okay,
right?
so y'all do it on your page, and he's going to do it up here.
Yeah.
And I know he's going to do it exactly right.
Exactly. I'm always right, guys. So, don't look at me, that's popping, okay? So you just gotta do your own thing, okay? So I'm gonna cover my hand over this while I write it, okay? Well, you're supposed to do it yourself.
They can watch.
Whoa.
Oh.
It's also for the people that are.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
So small.
Whoa. Okay, so, you gotta add the 3
Yep.
to both sides. And then, you know, you get, 1/2 x.
You heard that, right?
What happened?
She said, you're on a video, no.
Shame. And then, you know, you're supposed to multiply by 2 on both sides to get rid of this half, you know. So that'll equal 14, but I haven't wrote it yet. So you'll keep the bars there, plus 5, put another bar, equals 14. And then you have to separate it, okay? So you write it again. Oh, my fault. I'll make that an x. Equals 14. And then you gotta write another one, make it negative. And then you gotta put a 5 again. And then it has to be negative 14 on this side, you know?
Okay.
And then you have to subtract the 5 on both sides, okay? So x equals, I didn't feel like writing the minus 9, it's too much work. So, yeah, x equals 9 on this side.
Yep.
Then the x equals, 19 on this side.
Negative 19.
Yeah, negative 19.
Because you did minus 5 off
Yeah.
negative 14.
Hey guys,
Woo! What do you think? Good job. Look, you're such a smarty.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay. Good job. All right, y'all can do your